Good morning, everybody. This is us for Dusted On Gaming with a little bit of standard Sendoff here, playing Space Marine's final blue-white control list that he played at his standard showdown the standard game day for the M19. List is pretty somewhat typical, somewhat atypical. He doesn't run too many disallows, but this is just kind of his a representation of blue-white control. Three kind of breeds of blue-S control kind of showed up toward the end of the standard season. You know, blue-white control, Esper control, and Bant ticking turns, or Bant fog, turbo fog, however you want to call it. The one that saw probably play earliest on was the blue-white control lists. A lot of them ended up morphing into Esper. I ended up taking a similar path. Space Marine, however, likes a tried and true blue-white control because he likes to blow everything up with sweepers. So, his list, pretty simple. A lot of spot removal, a lot of sweepers, Torrential Gearhulk, and Teferi to close out the game. Getting in the Trials, kind of a card that encourages your opponent to expand into the board a little bit. Also can serve as a win con, kind of a little bit difficult to kill. Gideon's Reproach, an additional answer to things along with Seal Away and Cast Out. Settle the Wreckage and Fumigate as your sweepers. Essence, Scatter, and Syncopate, as well as one of Disallow for spells. Obviously, Essence Scatter hits creatures. Syncopate loses power throughout the game, but can exile stuff which can be relevant in this format. 4 Glimmer of Genius as your card advantage spells, in addition to Search for Azcanta and Teferi. Space Marine, I did remove the one pull from tomorrow for a 25th land. So that was the only change I made to the list at all. And then, yeah, I know you had a pull on the list, but it was kind of greedy with only 24 lands. And I don't particularly like the card in this archetype anyway. So, especially since you have no way to flash it back, etc. I understand it can win you the game on the spot, but a lot of times it just sits in your hand until it's way too late and you're already winning anyway. So, Teferi and Gearhulk do a lot better job of doing what you want to do with pull from tomorrow. Sideboard, got a couple more anti-planeswalker things and cast outs. A couple Approach to the Second Sun when you need to switch your win cons up. Anticipate and Hieroglyphic Illumination when you need more card advantage against some of the mid-range and control decks. And then pretty much a bunch of counter spells against other control decks. Negate and Unwind pretty much do the same thing. Syncopate, and then Nezahal as kind of your finishing closer against control decks, and then Farm to Market when you need another removal spell, splash a little bit more card selection. So, get a couple matches in here. So, took a little bit to get the cards, considering the standard PTQ will be going on here in about a half hour, but definitely not going that route. Match. See how long this takes. As for most of the standard Sendoffs, we're going to play a couple matches. So far we've done blue-black mid-range and red-black, 2 of the top decks in the format. I have some videos for Turbo Fog here. That's a pretty easy mulligan. This hand's okay, but not fantastic. Definitely don't want another Gearhulk. Against basic planes. Not too many decisions in the early turns here. Just play out your lands, hold up Syncopate or Gideon's Reproach or Seal Away. So, looks like we're up against either Cats or Life Gain. I'm not really sure which. Some consideration to playing the farmland here, but I want to be able to interact here on too. Especially if they tap out for something here. Yep, that's a pretty good card to Syncopate. History of Benalia is going to be a nightmare moving forward for control decks. Obviously, playing Gideon here on 3 would be decent, but if that history was in play, it'd be a lot worse. Yep, Bugler. They've got their own form of card advantage here. Mono white stuff. Okay. Alright, now we have access to both Glimmer and Gideon here. I think I'm just going to hold up for Glimmer, because we need to be able to answer that Mentor. Hopefully we'll find a sweeper or something off this, hopefully we find the sweeper off this Glimmer of Genius. I don't usually like to just 2-for-1 my opponent with my Rasp, but Mentor of the Meek represents so many cards, I just want it dead. Yeah. Not going to pass up on Teferi, but... This is actually kind of an annoying one here. Like, I could run out Teferi here, which wouldn't be great. Because then we just lose it basically on a 0-for-1 here. Or we can Gideon plus on one of these guys and try to get them to attack with a Mentor into the Gideon and then seal it away. I think that might be our best play here. And I mistapped. I should have been able to leave. Syncopate for 1-up too, but I don't think we're going to be able to syncopate anything relevant here. How have you been, Space Marine? Go ahead and plus on that. Try to encourage them to attack with a Mentor. Get a couple of cards off this probably. Yep. Knight's annoying, but doesn't really do a whole lot against our protection from, or its protection from black isn't particularly relevant in the this kind of a matchup. Do need to find a sweeper here soon. See if our opponent even attacks. Okay. This is where control kind of starts ticking over a little bit. See what our opponent has pre-combat here. I think we just let Knight resolve. Pride Mate, I think... We're getting close to sweeper or bust here. Am I supposed to counter this or just let it resolve? What's up, O'Doyle? How you doing this morning? I just let that resolve. One, two, three, four, five, six. So I think I'm supposed to Glimmer here main phase, or at least in response to the Teferi trigger here, to Try to hit a settle. I'm not going to throw away a seal away here. Double seal away is not too bad. We might actually 1-for-1 our way out of this mess, which is kind of insane. Okay. So if they're going to be able to grow their pride mate a little bit, sure. Doyle, we're going to get to your Bedlam list after this. I'm going to play a couple matches with this as kind of the standard send-off with Space Marines list as the blue-white control list that we're going to show. See how they decide to attack. Makes me wonder if they play around some of the wreckage here. I guess the answer is no. So everything's at Gideon. I feel like I'm playing or Esper more than I'm playing blue-white at the moment. Another Teferi. Huh. We have seen quite a few cards who have not seen a Wrath or anything here. I think I'm just going to let this Teferi die, obviously, since we already have another one. Yeah, there's a standard PPTQ today. It's just like, I don't feel like playing 9 rounds of standard, especially when I haven't practiced it all that much since a couple weekends ago when I didn't go the SEG IQ. See what they play here. Crested Sunmare. To trigger Resolve. That gains some life, sure. Let me just syncopate this. Looks like they're mono white life gain, which is interesting. This is a deck that I think for the most part survives rotation. Okay, sure. Teferi down. One, two, three, four, five. Huh. So now we have Gear Hulk plus Gideon's Reproach here going on. literally might 1-for-1 them into the ground, which is kind of stupid. Space Marine, I thought this was a blue-white control list, not an Esper list. This is another Crested Sun Mare, we might have to counter that. Oh, okay, sure. It's going after, and they're consistent about going after Teferi, I'll give them that much. Alright, and opponent scoops. So, about the only card I'm probably interested in here is Farm to Market. Maybe the cast outs, but they feel a little bit clanky. No. I was joking about I was joking about the fact that we were 1-for-1ing our opponent more than using sweepers. Had nothing to do with the win con part. I was just joking about the fact of having to 1-for-1 them into the ground. Card would we cut here? Maybe a Syncopate on the draw. Try it like that. I mean, the deck's fine for this style of matchup. I was just laughing the fact that we had to literally seal away in Gideon's Reproach to kill all our opponent's creatures. And the fact that Gideon the Trials acts as a win con helps too. Sounds alright. It's alright. Yeah. Yeah, I'm alright with Blue-White Miracles in Modern, but I think I finally found a list that I like. And it was the Jeskai Miracles list of Brian DeMars on Channel Fireball. The only problem with it is I'm going to have to cough up some more dough for a couple more Scalding Tarns, or some Polluted Deltas if I'm playing the off-colored fetches. How much do I care about this? I think given their strategy, I just want to counter this one. Can take some hits from a 2/2 here. It's like a Jeskai Miracles list, which... do I counter this one, or do I seal away the other one? Just counter this one. I really like Terminus, so for me it's kind of a... I was just looking for a good Jeskai list, because I don't like Blue-White's lack of... Sure. Probably named Teferi here. Maybe Esconta the Sunken Ruin. Though I'm very happy to know that my Esper control list will survive rotation because of the addition of that 4-mana draw 2. So, then I'm going to have to play a lot of 1-for-1 removal until they print Hollowed Fountain in the next expansion. Yes, I'd like to put that in my graveyard. Of course we draw the Teferi. So one of the things I'm going to have to be a little more cognizant of is playing some artifact removal in the next format, because people are probably going to run... I think I want both these cards. Uh, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I think we're good with Gideon too. I think I'm just gonna Gear Hulk and Glimmer here. This game's pretty much over. Terminus is better in matchups where your opponent's going to be like playing a bunch of resilient sticky stuff. Supreme Verdict and stuff is much more reliable in kind of the key matchups. So it's kind of hard to say which one's better, but I think Terminus gives you a little more play, especially with Jace, whereas Supreme Verdict is a little more reliable. Okie dokie. Sand is interesting. I forgot how much more smoother the mono green. Forgot how much more smoother the blue-white mana base is in standard over Esper. Terminus with Jace is a combo too now. Opponent's playing some type of Servant in the Conduit list. Interesting. And we'll just hold up Essence Scatter and such here. I'm gonna miss the sweepers for the first couple months of the format. That's gonna suck. Playing a control deck with no sweepers, or at least not reliably. Although I suppose the pseudo damnation will be alright for standard for now, for blue-black. I think I just play a Field of Ruin out here. I want to be able to fix my colors for the double white for Fumigate, but at the same time, also want to be able to hold up Syncopate here. Do I even care about Vine Mare here? Nope. I think we just let Vine Mare resolve. They have Heroic Intervention, then we get punished here, but that's kind of whatever. I'm gonna miss Glimmer of Genius, though. It really, yeah, sometimes it's more a matter of being able to time it correctly more than it is, well, it's putting a lot of power in play. As long as we find an untapped land in our next 5 cards, we're good. Opponent's playing around Settle the Wreckage. Or they're not. That's cool. We may not get there. Alright, Settle the Wreckage will at least keep us alive. Opponent's not going to respect Settle at all right now, so guess they only really have to attack. It's not worth it. I understand where you're coming from, but the likelihood that we don't hit a 5th land off that Glimmer of Genius plus a couple of draw steps is pretty low, so it's worth to just have the counter afterwards anyway. But I understand what you mean. The only part I don't like about the sweepers is... Yeah, but to be fair, I don't think this type of deck beats a sweeper game 1 anyway. So, I don't know if they really have much of a choice. No, opponent played the Giant Dinos specifically to play around Settle the Wreckage. I guess they didn't have to play it, but at the same time, it had haste. It was a big dumb idiot. Why not? This game's over in so many different ways. Yep. To be fair, Space Marine, we're also in the practice room here, so, you know, 2, 3, 4... Should have paid 1 less mana just to hold up Essence Scatter, but I don't think they have a second spell in their hand the way they've been playing their turns. Yes. Now we're gonna I was gonna say, now we're gonna start bottoming like 5 Torrential Gearhulks, because that's how it always goes for me. So one nice thing about having Gideon here with Search for Oscanta, we get to actually find or win cons with the Teferi here. I'm not insulting your intelligence or your excellence. I just, if you hadn't noticed, most of my things have started out in the practice room. The standard playback, whatever nonsense. So, well, it's got a lot of big dumb idiots. Probably want to bring in a couple cast outs in case they have planeswalkers. Yeah. It's really kind of hard to see how the new standard's going to shake out. The 4 quasi decks that survive rotation are Esper Control, Blue-White Control, obviously kind of in a bundle. Turbo Fog, if they ever get another Fog. Let's see, what do I want to cut here? Most of this deck's pretty good in this matchup. Maybe one Syncopate on the draw. Yeah, that is pretty disgusting. Yeah, Space Marine, I know you were joking, my man. But, Blue-White and Esper Control will survive. Bant Fog will survive. Mono Green Aggro will survive. And everything else is just kind of a... Like, you'll have your tribal decks, your dinosaurs, your vampires, your... those kind of nonsense. But, probably gonna get Bind Mare here, aren't we? Nope, Ronus. Okay. Ronus is definitely a threat on his own. Looks like our opponent is playing, holding up, whatchamacallit here? Blossoming Defense. Perhaps. Kind of remains to be seen how reasonable of a card it is. But yeah, like, cards like Progenitus and stuff. Yeah, I think it'll be reasonable. I think you'll see tokens try to pop up a couple times, which could be a little bit rough for my Esper deck. I think you'll see a lot of reasonable decks pop up. So I think the new standard looks to be pretty fun. We don't know enough about Ravnica to know how it's going to shape up the format yet. I'm just glad that the X number of dollars I dumped into my Esper deck won't go to waste. Since we got that new counterspell, the new draw spell in mod, I just got to pick up some Watery Graves. Settle the Wreckage into whatever, turn 5, into Gearhawk Flashback, Settle the Wreckage. Feels like we're going to be pretty good shape unless they drop a walker here. Vivian Reed would be pretty rough. Looks like they're just going to pump their dude. The only awkward part about Ronus is not great on his own. I think Merfolk will be okay. The only problem with Merfolk is control decks are still going to be a thing. Got to be careful here because they've been repping Blossoming Defense pretty hard those first couple turns. So I'm gonna miss me some Torrential Gearhulk. Card was so good for control for so long. These cycling lands have been pretty underrated too. It's gonna make it harder to not flood out. Though I suppose the Jumpstart draw spell will help a little bit there too. Get to turn a random extra land in the mid game into a couple extra cards. I'm curious how much my opponent plays around Gearhulk here. Sarkhan's Unsealing. Alright, that's a card. Makes sense they're playing an Unsealing deck here. They're like, do I really want to sell my elves to get smacked by a Gearhulk here? Don't tell Jan, but I think the you do realize that some people do actually watch these playbacks. So you might read that comment and be like, ha, told you so. Whenever a creature spell Sarkhan's Unsealing deals 4 damage to any target when cast. Okay, so Gideon will prevent that. Alright. So I could hold back for a turn here, but I think their best play is like Regisaur Alpha, and I don't even know that I care about that. Yeah, I mean it's certainly a reasonable it is certainly a reasonable game plan. So their last card was a land. They've been representing Blossoming Defense and not even had it the whole time. Okay. So do I risk 7 power or greater, deals 4 damage to each opponent, each creature and planeswalker they control. Guess I it is, but it's a lot worse. Mm-hmm. Two more draw steps and they're dead. Serving in the conduit's hardly a threat here. Pretty sure I want to ferry. Let's just get him dead. We still might. I'm gonna take it into a two-man queue next. Probably be the last match though, because I gotta get to O'Doyle rules list here this morning. I don't have a ton of time to stream this morning. Sure. Sorry about that. I was trying to stifle that. Sounds like nice Gideon. Alright, see how this goes. Huh. Why? Go to a two-man queue and your deck instantly hates me. Well, we're getting some type of red deck here. It's possible I should have played the plains to cycle the cast out here. Looks like it's just mono red wizards. Though, no, I think you might have your wish, because this is awful slow for a, Oh, no. Alright, we're up against dragons. Yes, put that in there. We'll see what happens. It's really it's really too early to tell what will end up being the, This one does tap for mana, right? Yeah. I really hate putting great cards in the graveyard, but we really kind of have to. Decision point here. I think we just take the hit and glimmer here. I don't know how many more dragons they have in their hand. They have another Glory Bringer here. We get a little bit punished. Maybe a Bolus. Yep. I mean, Glory Bringer at least can't kill Teferi this turn. Does get to knock it to 1, which is unfortunate, but... nope. But, Space Marine, this is probably better in terms of, actually future things, because Grixis Dragons is one of the decks that sort of survives the next iteration of stuff. We might have a Braid here, but I don't think we can afford to pass with all our mana open and not have cast anything. It blows how exactly? I don't think it's particularly good in the current format, but I do think it could be reasonable in the next format. We really don't know. And it gets 2/3 of its mana from the Ravnica set, and it can also have a pretty decent... It's different than red-green monsters. Nope. Sure. That's cute. How much do I care about that? So right now they have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana open. Guess we just let Gearhulk die here. Yeah, I think except Grixis has access to both a good Grixis Dragons deck will include Duress and Negate in post-board games, as well as possibly Argyle's Bloodfast. So, a little more play to it, but I understand what you're saying. Black removal will still be arguably the best in Standard. You have Cast Down, Murder, Vraska's Contempt, and if you want to go green-black, you'll have Assassin's Trophy, which will probably be the best removal spell in Standard, depending on if there's a good green-black deck to build it into. I think mono green splashing black for Assassin's Trophy and Vraska could be pretty decent. New Standard is going to be wide open for the first couple of weeks at least, till people decide what the new red-black is. I think we bring in farm to market here. Syncopates are a necessary evil. Essence scatters are pretty reasonable. Fumigate's not quite as good here, just because I don't want to be tapping out 1 for big dragons. We didn't see any blue mana out of them, so I have a feeling we're just going to be playing around discard spells. I bring in 1 cast out over, I don't know, a seal away maybe? Sounds alright, but a little on the dicey side. It's really hard to say if Jeskai will be good or not. It has some tools. You have Teferi, you have Search for Azcanta. Opponent, no fear, man. No fear. Should probably have actually played the tap land there. That was a bit of a mistake here. And they do show us blue mana this game, which means counterspells could be a thing. Alright, so you get to resolve your Sarkon. So we have to cycle, try to hit a untap land in our next 2 draw steps. And firmly punished as we should have been here. Opponent might just try to ride that Sarkon into a win here. And Graph. Alright, well, we're not prepared for this fight. Alright, so we're definitely bringing in more anti-planeswalker nonsense next game. Probably gonna we might just die that Sarkon ultimate, depending on how many counterspells they're playing here. Discarding Spit Flame, which is fine. Probably gonna get hit by a Bolus or something here. Or a Virex Bladewing. Sure. Gonna get hit for 8 here. I guess theoretically I could farm to market one of these guys. Yeah. Just to stay alive. I think we kill the token here. Just because he could have another Virex in his hand. Alright, Well, we played the wrong game plan in game 2, so okay. Props to our opponent for having a pretty decent sideboard plan against control. Let's get these fumigates out of here. Question is, how many negates do we want? Get these approaches out of here. So we have plenty of answers to their dragons. Got a boatload of counter spells. It's actually possible I want to get this disallow out of here from their syncopate. Is that possible? I don't want to leave myself cold to a random dragon, so I need to have enough removal in my deck to that. Yeah, seems reasonable. Good to go search on 2, hold up negate on 3. Yeah, they're going pretty hard on this set. No, I think I'm in the market for a land here. Dragon's Horde 1, I think I gotta let resolve here. It's close, because we don't necessarily have an immediate answer to... Okay, sure. Curious what card they try to resolve first. Yep, got yourself a Glory Bringer. Essence Scatter. Nope. Essence Scatter pretty much covers us against everything now. Sure. One, two, three, four, five, six. This is kind of a close one here. I think the answer is no. What's up, War Dog? How you doing? Nope. Yep. So we're in some amount of trouble here, depending on what their leftovers are. This Kanta gives us some amount of the play here, but yeah, sure. Not sure why a card as garbage as Lightning Strike's in your deck right now, but thanks. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, between work and school, that's gonna be... Hello. Just getting our hind ends kicked here by Grixis Dragons, as much as Space Marine seems to think it's a horrible deck. Syncopate, Seal Away, Negate, Glimmer of Genius. See if they respond here. Running out of cards is part of it. The other part of it is our opponent... One of the issues with the... blue-white deck is how... how temperamental its answers are. Sorry, War Dog, I didn't even pay attention yet, honestly. I don't honestly look at Patreon all that much. I mean, it's you and Foz pretty much on there, so I don't really rely on that money. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but I don't really rely on it. So we're at 7 cards, we're at 3. I think I just let this hit happen here. Seven mana? I think I'm about to get hit really hard by a Banefire. Yep. Alright, so our opponent had a fair amount of sideboard cards. It's one of the things about blue-white versus Esper is your removal's a lot more conditional. Because of Fatal Push, been a little more information. Yes, I've got Patreon. It's only been in the link of like every video for the last like 2.5 months. Show your face and I'll join. I'll do that eventually anyway. But anyways, as far as the wrap up on the deck, blue-white control, pretty good in most game ones. If your opponent wants to beat you in post-board games, they've been able... He looks like my profile, just balder. Comedians. Comedians, comedians, comedians. Dude, you think I honestly read descriptions? I don't know. I don't know, Space Marine. Comedians in this channel this morning. Anyways, finishing up, blue-white control, one of the better control decks in the format. Typically better in matchups where sweepers are better than 1-for-1 removal. Blue-white's removal is a little bit more conditional. Your opponent usually has to be attacking, or it's a lot less efficient. Esper kind of supplanted it in most regards because of Vraska's Contempt's consideration with Torrential Gearhulk, plus the life gain buffer from Vraska's Contempt. So in metas where go wide strategies were a bigger thing, blue-white tend to be better. In metas where Q from now on, I'm neither omnipresent nor omnipotent, so you cannot call me Q. Anyways, basically, wherever Fumigate and Settle the Wreckage were better, then blue-white tended to be better. And if you like the cleaner mana base, in matchups where Vraska's Contempt, Cast Down, Fatal Push were better, usually Esper tended to shine. So I'm not sure what you're wanting, Space Marine. Anywho, sideboard, Space Marine's sideboard list, mostly designed for control decks. We didn't really play against too many control decks. The Grixis Dragons list got us a little bit with their Planeswalkers in the sideboard in Game 2, and then Game 3 just outcarded us. On that note, I'm going to be... Space Marine, did you ever watch Star Trek The Next Generation or Star Trek Deep Space Nine? There was an entity known as Q on there. Q was basically a cosmic representation of a godlike being who pretty much knew everything and could pretty much be anywhere he wanted. So, Hence the reference Q. That's why I said I'm neither omnipresent nor omnipotent. Yes, I'm a nerd. I play Magic. I play World of Warcraft. Hey, Space Marine, you play Magic too. Guess what? You're at least partially a nerd. Anyways, guys, gonna sign off here. Pick up the pieces for O'Doyle's Bedlam Reveler Scred deck. Well, Bedlam Reveler mono red control deck, however you want to look at it. So I'll be back in a few with that deck. So this has been Dust for Dust on Gaming with standard Sendoff for Blue White Control, featuring Space Marine's wonderful list.